Hey, as we're talking here on Monday, Washington State absolutely put together a couple nice weeks in a row here. And I said this last week. I got to say it again. I watched most of the second half of the Stanford game. Shaden Delora, I've got to give the guy props, man. He competes. He competes his tail off, and he's had two really good second halves in a row of putting his team up and down the field to win some games. The Cougs, they're at least in the mix. Now they still have 3 road games ahead, so their schedule's not favorable, but they're at least in the mix. And this week they play BYU. And I'm sorry, somebody in this league has to beat BYU.
Yeah.
And there's 2 teams left, the Cougs and then USC on the final weekend. BYU's already 3-0 against the Pac. So to the macro view again of how this league is looked at nationally, somebody has to beat BYU. Why not let it be the Cougs and Pullman this week?
I'll tell you what, if you're a Pullman season ticket holder, the last 2 games, you've gotten your money's worth with score changes, lead changes. I mean, the third and fourth quarters of the last 2 games in Pullman have been absolutely incredibly entertaining. Yeah. So hopefully it'll be a shootout with BYU and the Cougs come out on top.
And now we're talking on Monday as we're doing this. So we don't know yet what the resolution of the Rolovich situation is. I would say we were there last weekend. We had a lot of conversations. We've had a lot of conversations with Pat Chun, the athletic director. We know 2 things. We know one is that it hasn't affected the team. You see the way they played the last 2 weeks, right, Yogi? And secondly, Pat Chun he's been dealing with this for a while. And so he has had a lot. And as we're talking now, we don't know again the resolution, but we know he's had to deal with an awful lot.
Yeah. And he's created a variety of contingency plans for this. And I think for the Coug fans listening, you're going to be okay in that regard. For the players and their families that may be listening, you're going to be okay. And that's the thing that after talking to Pat Chun when we were up there and since then, his whole lens is like, I got to take care of these guys, as in the players, right? It's not his decision on what may or may not happen with Nick Rolovich. I mean, it's way above just an athletic director. I mean, this is clearly, as we all know, up to the state government and the laws around places where you're a state employee. So we'll see how that shakes out. But I'm confident that Pat Chun looks at this team and says, we got a hell of a team. We got to make sure that whatever happens here, we give them the best opportunity for success. And I think when you look at this team, they should have beat Utah State, right? Like you look at their games, Utah had on the ropes, right? You watch the film back, if you don't see the touchdowns, you'd think that they won the game. So my point is that at 4-3, this is a team that easily could have 1 loss on the season. So I'm really curious to see how the players, to your point, handles this week. Here we are on Monday. Something's going to happen today. How do they handle Tuesday practice? How do they handle new coaches coming in, right? You got to have people coach positions, right? How do they manage that? I'm going to go, if I was calling, I'd say, hey, Ron Stone Jr., what's it been like leading this team? Like you go to those guys, Liam Ryan, Abe Lucas, Max Borghi, the vets, and say, okay, this is where, as Nick Rolovich has told us, his goal was to make it a player-run program. He said they've gotten there. So now the players really need to take hold of that this week and moving forward because they got a chance to have a special season in very unique circumstances. So that's kind of where I'm at with them. And I'm with you, Delora, balling. That dude is fun to watch. And we got to give, on the football front, Jake Dickard a boatload of credit. Because you go watch the end of that game, Willie Taylor, Ron Stone, Brennan Jackson, this defensive front was awesome to finish it off against Stanford and Tanner McKee.
And frustration for Stanford because they had a chance. This could turn out to be a real painful loss for them because Stanford is the flip. Stanford has an extremely favorable schedule coming home. This is their home heavy year and their road games are all front loaded. So they only have 1 road game left the rest of the year and they've got a chance. So unfortunately they now have too many losses in the conference, but they could still and could have a major impact in who does end up playing in the championship game.
It's such a great call, right? Like they're up 31-27, an awesome individual play by Austin Jones with 7 minutes and 17 seconds, remaining in the game. They get the ball back. That's Stanford. That's just where they just take the life out of you. and they couldn't do it, right? They had to punt. They'd give the ball back to Washington State. So you look at them with a bye week now. I wouldn't be shocked, guys, if they ran the table in the league to finish the season. UW at home, Utah at home. Ted referenced the home schedule. They go to Oregon State and Cal in the big game.
Cal at home.
Cal at home. Like I wouldn't be shocked.
And then Notre Dame at home, which would be a cred game. It won't impact the conference, obviously, but that's what I'm saying. They have 4 of their last 5 at home.
Yeah. I guess we end where we started, right? Craziness. We have no idea. Multiple teams can
but that's what makes it fun, right? That's what makes it fun. You have no idea anytime we go into a game.